I got up extra early because I think this video is very important. As a YouTuber, whether you're watching video game YouTube commentary or tech commentary, you're participating in the Google sphere. We creators, whether we're making video game content or tech content or whatever kind of YouTube content you make, you're a part of this sphere. And the purpose of this video is not to blindly endorse anything pointed out here, but it is to hopefully open some eyes as to some of the slants that happen in terms of the YouTube world. This is not a blind endorsement of the research done by this company, as there are certain things that are unprovable. For example, there's a person sharing information who's anonymous. Now, anonymous information has done a lot of good in the past, but there is always a specter of doubt around that. Some of the hidden camera footage is pretty spicy. This video is not about whether or not you endorse one side of the aisle or the other. It's not about that. It's about opening your eyes. It's about a call to embrace some other technology options, other browsers, other YouTube or other viewerships, and to also explain the complex nature of this relationship, because this is something that I've known has been happening for a very long time, whether it's in the gaming sphere or it's in the Hollywood movie sphere. Certainly, you're seeing a lot of curated results. Long gone are the days where you could search for something on YouTube or on Google and find the most relevant result. Now you're getting the most appropriate result according to somebody else. And there are some pretty interesting admissions here from Google employees. It's a complex relationship I have, knowing what I know and continuing to produce content here on YouTube. But I decided, just like I originally thought I would leave Twitter, twitter.com/thequartering. But after cooler heads prevailed, I realized that it's better to be there and be a part of the conversation and also use that platform to support other alternate tech platforms like minds.com/thequartering. I did leave Facebook, but Twitter I stayed for now because, well, Facebook doesn't show my communications to people that opted into them anyway. This is a complex relationship, but like I said, as a content creator, one that covers gaming, one that covers tech, pop culture, movies, things like that, I realize that I am at a disadvantage in terms of having my content, even if it's the most relevant, be shared out there, which is why I always rely on you, which is why I always shill for you to like the videos and comment on the videos and continue to share them on the platform, on other platforms, because together we really are fighting an uphill battle. Not every video I cover is on divisive topics, but sometimes I do. So I want to show a little bit of what came from this video, and I'll actually link the original because I want to give credit mostly to the work they've done, but I want to comment on some of the most problematic quotes.
The reason we launched our AI principles is because people were not putting that line in the sand, and they were not saying what is fair and what's equitable. So we're like, well, we are a big company, we're going to say it.
People who voted for the current president do not agree with our definition of fairness.
Right. So of this video, I'm trying to only take the raw camera footage because it is clearly editorialized. They have kind of the spooky music behind it and everything. And it's not to say that this company has not always had a 100% track record of being correct. They obviously have their interests in mind. So I'm just going to look at some of the clips of Google employees and what they've said. Here you have somebody in a position of power at Google saying, well, if you voted this way, then you don't believe in our definition of fairness. Pretty spicy statement, I would say. You know, again, this is not an endorsement of one way or the other. I just want people to see the way companies like Google are thinking about their users. It doesn't matter how you chose to vote. At one point, Google may not agree with you. And the fact of the matter is there is only one definition of fairness. And Google clearly has their own definition, which is not, of course, fair.
But then there are teams which are called ML Fairness.
ML Fairness, the teams?
Fairness, like,
Yeah.
you know, you need to be fair.
If we're also training our algorithms, like if 2016 happened again, would the outcome be different?
So here you have the head of responsible innovation as well as a developer talking about their definition of fair, and in fact a algorithm called ML Fairness, which stands for machine learning fairness. They go on later in the video to describe how this works. Let me give you the example that they gave. If you do a Google Images search for CEO, okay, even though the majority of CEOs are men, they want the results displayed to be equal. And they go on to admit that even if it's factually correct, it isn't fair. Think about that.
Elizabeth Warren is saying that we should break up Google. And like, I love her, but she's very misguided. Like, that will not make it better, it'll make it worse, because now all these smaller companies who don't have the same resources that we do will be charged with preventing the next Trump situation. It's like a small company cannot do
And
that.
it's like,
Now, this is where things get pretty interesting. And I'll keep reminding, because I know I have viewers on all sides of the aisle, and I don't really care how you choose to vote. That's my thing, right? You do you. You're an individual. You are valued by me for your viewership and your support, not based on who you choose to vote for. But you'll see that here we have Google just basically admitting that they want to meddle in the way that certain elections, certain outcomes happen, and that admitting here that, well, if they break us up, then it'll be harder for us to manipulate the world's population. This statement alone is truly frightening, and I'm going to hope that you take time to spread this video around as well as the original video, because people need to know what is going on here. How can you insulate yourself against this? Well, you can start trying to use other search engines. You can stay away from Google products. You can watch BitChute, or if you're watching something on YouTube, using a private browser, log in as private. Just know that the videos you see aren't always going to be the most relevant results. Now, I don't think here in the video game world, if we're talking about reviews of, NBA 2K19, I don't think there's much going on there, in terms of, the results of movies. But we did see, for example, with Captain Marvel, YouTube specifically changing the results to start to go away from smaller YouTube creators and bigger, and giving it like priority to Entertainment Weekly and other fluff pieces. They admitted this publicly, and we saw it happen as creators. So just know that the results you're seeing aren't necessarily the best, and you have to start kind of changing your searches up or sorting differently. The first pass of search results you get, whether it's going to be on YouTube or Google, are likely to be curated in some way.
The reason we launched our AI principles is because people were not putting that line in the sand, and they were not saying what is fair and what's equitable. So we're like, well, we are a big company, we're going to say it. Where my definition of fairness and bias specifically talks about historically marginalized communities, and that's who I care about. Communities who are in power and have traditionally been in power are not who I'm solving fairness for.
Our definition of fairness is one of those things that we thought would be like obvious and everybody would agree to, and it wasn't. Like, there are the same people who voted for the current president do not agree with our definition of fairness.
And here is another perfect example of what we talk about. I can just point it to our coverage of modern day movies, cinema, video games, and the lack of credibility in reviews and scores based on meritocracy. Here we have Google, a Google representative saying, hey, it's our version of fairness. And in my opinion, there are many people in the video games industry, if you're looking at reviews, that think this way. We saw when I exposed a reviewer who, in my opinion, gave a lower score to Days Gone based on a false pretense of the zombies all being white. What happened? 4 or 5 months later, that person's coworker was calling my advertisers. This is not tinfoil hat. This literally happened. And if you're following the channel, you saw it happen in real time. I exposed somebody for their bias, then their coworker spent the next 5 months plotting their revenge, called my advertisers and got Honda and DeVry and Gamefly to all pull out for my channel. Why do you think this is?
Men can. And I see men can have babies, men can get pregnant, men can have periods, men can cook. Do most people search for that stuff, or what is the company doing internally?
You know, people aren't searching for this. This is literally coming from source of truth databases that they've selected represent the truth and that they are pulling this information from.
And then we try it again with, let's try this with women can. I see women can vote, women can do it, women can do anything, women can be drafted.
Yes.
That seems a little interesting.
So all these examples are part of the social justice narrative, right? And so the sources of truth that ML Fairness is selecting from to amplify are saying these keywords. And so because that source of truth has been vandalized, the output of the algorithm is also reflecting that vandalism.
Okay, so here we have an anonymous Google employee. I can't verify that, obviously. This person speaks like they know everything that's going on. However, again, we can't know for a fact. But what we see here is their definition of exactly how something like Google Autocomplete, and we know that Google Autocomplete is absolutely manipulated, and we also see this sort of thing in the YouTube Autocomplete, that it's not actually pulling things that most people search for. It's pulling things that Google wants you to search for.
But then there are teams which are called ML Fairness.
ML Fairness, the teams?
Fairness, like,
Yeah.
you know, you need to be fair.
Yeah.
So they're trying to modify the model such that even if the data for female CEOs is
It's low.
It's low.
It kind of balances out.
It still balances out.
And I think this is, of course, an excellent example of, we're talking about a software engineer themselves talking about exactly how this works. They're more worried about representation than the actual statistics or data. Now, there are certain weird oddities that people have brought up, like if you Google image search white family versus black family, you get really bizarre results. I don't know what that means. That could be one of those crazy conspiracy theories, but it's something I've seen people search or bring up many, many, many times based on, what the images look like. And I think I'm going to leave it here and leave a link to watch the rest of the video if you want. I tried to chop out most of the anonymous stuff and just, respond to exactly what was going on. And if you've made it this far in the video, you probably don't need to hear this again, but I feel like I need to say it because I don't want my viewers to feel like this is about the politics of it for me, because it isn't. It's just about understanding exactly what you're up against when you want unbiased data and how these things apply. Now, in terms of the video game world, how much are we affected? I don't know. But certainly when we talk about some of the things that we talk about in in movies and certain narratives and things like that, I'm willing to bet that Google is in fact working on curating those results. They also talk about in this video about deboosting and boosting certain videos based on signals. They look at the type of content that your video leads people to, and then whether or not they recommend it. It's pretty interesting watch nonetheless, but always, as always, you know, watch with healthy dose of skepticism. Understand that this company also has, you know, some of their own biases. But if you look at just the hidden camera footage and things like that, it's pretty rough. What will happen? I'm not sure, but I think that we need some sort of intervention here, some sort of formal look into this, because I don't think it's good for what is essentially a monopoly to be investing time in controlling people is obviously not good. And even though if you might feel like, hey, this is righteous or this is good because because Orange Man bad, understand that one day you won't agree with what Google agrees is right and just, and you will have missed the opportunity to fight back against it. I hope you were informed by this video. I hope you decide to share it out there and spread the news, and we'll talk to you a little bit later today.